guest here today. Welcome to George Cook here at Local Lens, and I'm with Denise Brough of Too Much Love. Again, this is our third podcast.
Third podcast.
And each one is always very interesting. Today, we're going to focus more on the educational aspect because I noticed Denise has opened up a new academy, Too Much Love Academy, or did I get that name right?
Mush Love Academy.
Mush Love Academy.
Yeah, Mush Love Academy.
And I think I'm going to go to class. I think I'm going to start going back to school again.
It's going to be fun.
It seems really, but the point is that when an industry such as psychedelics and where it's going, because it's now more in the mainstream, not as mainstream as I think it's going to get, but it is in the mainstream. All of a sudden, people come out of the woodworks and say, I want to be involved in this, in one way, shape, or form. So you're going to have a lot of people just show up and say, oh, I want to be a psychedelic integrator or a psychedelic shaman or whatever it might be. But my conversation with Denise a week or so ago, it was very intriguing in that she's got a really good handle on this. And I think it's important that folks understand that education is everything, especially when something like this is all of a sudden becoming mainstream, because we don't want people to just venture down the road and say, oh, I'll go to this lady here because she went to a class on psychedelics and I'll have a session, because it can be very unnerving. So with that being said, Denise is going to talk more about the Too Mush Academy.
Mush Love Academy. Too much love.
Maybe we should change the name.
Mush Love Academy.
Mush Love Academy. So that's great. So Denise, why don't you introduce yourself again and give us a little intro on the academy and what your thought processes were, because I know there's going to be a groundswell and people need to be educated, and you're going to need assistance and people to do the kind of work that you do. So It's definitely necessary. But give us your perspective, but give us a little intro quick, and then give us a perspective on why you went down this path.
Okay. Well, people just kept coming to me and just saying, hey, I'm doing this, or I want to do this. And the alarming part was the people that saying they were doing it without any real training.
Right.
And, that's safety training, dosing training, mental health training, just nothing. And I'm like, well, what makes you feel you're equipped to sit with someone that you're totally, changing their whole psychosis? So that's kind of where it started. And I kind of put it off. But then the other thing is everything changing now with more money coming from the government, people becoming more aware, the stigma going away. We do need people to do this. We need people that are trained, that are ethical, that, integrity, patience, kindness. Not everyone can do this. It's not always easy. So that was sort of my thing. And, I've worked with hundreds, sat with hundreds and hundreds of people. And, you get your experience doing it. You get your experience, going to different sessions or retreats. You get your experience by sitting. So there's a lot of different ways you learn. And the one thing is, you also, through experience, really, you learn what not to do, which is key also. So that's why it all started, so it all started for those reasons. I'm excited.
I think that's analogous to any type of educator. No one can just step into a role of an educator, but not experience what they're educating people on. So you need the hands-on like you have, and the background, because you've gone through a lot of training yourself.
Yes.
So just give us a little backstory on that. Like, you got educated up in Canada, correct? So
for 5-MeO.
For one particular product. Okay.
Yeah. Mexico, much more for psilocybin and MDMA. But Canada is very huge on the 5-MeO DMT. So that's where I did training. Yeah, I've done training all over. Training as far as coursework, training as far as different certifications, training as far as, volunteering for a couple of weeks and sitting, with other people that were in my position. And I think that's where you really get the best education, is watching and learning and seeing the way people can react and being prepared. So I just think, mine was very, just sort of happened over the years of training, like, where do you go? And then I would find something and go somewhere or do something online. So the other thing is that, everyone it pops up. Get the certification to be this, get the certification to be an integration coach. Those certifications, this was the other reason, don't mean anything. We're
Right.
not, it's not like you need a college degree. Now, can Oregon and Colorado are legal.
Are fully
So
legal.
so there
Yes.
you need to get your licensing through those states. But that's very different than people just having some sort of certification or education.
Right.
That's specific. So one of the things I tell people is be very careful where you go because it may not be accepted. I don't know what they want you to do, but knowing, like, I know when New Jersey was originally setting up their training, a lot of it you had to do it in your state. So if you're not a trainer in Colorado, you may not be an approved
Right.
person. So I
Right.
said, be careful. Some of these courses are $40,000. I'm like, please don't spend $40,000 on this.
Wow.
You're not. It's not. You're not getting enough out of it. And I'm not saying that some of these courses are bad, but for that money, I don't. I don't see it. I just don't see the value of that.
Yeah.
My big thing in all this also is making it affordable for people, which is the legalization states it's not affordable for people. So this again is another way to starting to get people trained. Most people can't go out and spend $20,000 on a side training, but this
No.
is 5,000, and then the immersive in Mexico is roughly probably like 2,500 plus your airfare. But that's a good week long running a
Right.
retreat, being immersed in it, watching session after session after session, doing all of the parts because it's a business. There's a lot of other things, you just, running a retreat in Mexico is not simple. You
Right.
have to transportation, language barriers, safety, understanding what area you're in, and if you're in an area that's safe to travel, like all that stuff. A lot of people when they come, they don't know. You have to prepare them, and
Yes.
you have to protect them. So, as far as running a business, that's also part of this. This whole cohort is from beginning to end, understanding medicine, learning preparation, safety, integration, how to dose, how to sit, how to practice safely, how to practice harm reduction. So it goes all through to then the actual immersion of watching and being a participant, and then also the business end of it. It's not easy. We're illegal. Like I get shut down all the time. Like you can't advertise in certain things, if you say, I think that's going to change as the United States legalizes more of this
Right.
for, it's now being for mental health or veterans is how they're pushing it, not necessarily for the average person. But I think as that goes through, you'll be able to do more of the advertising
Yeah.
where people can find
And I
you.
think the results will be more publicized because now they can't squelch that. They can't hide that. So if they're getting good results, they're going to publish it. And if they're
Absolutely.
going to see these great numbers, then people that maybe have alcoholism or drug addiction or chronic depression and they're on these SRIs and they're not getting anything out of it,
Yeah.
they're going to start venturing down this road. And that's why I think what you're doing is important because it's very ground level, obviously.
Yeah.
So you're going to go through, people are going to sign up and they're going to get educated and then eventually say New Jersey legalizes. Then they're going to say, oh, I want to work in New Jersey. You're going to have to go to a state thing. And that's why I think you make a big point about don't spend 40 grand to go to this education because you don't know
Mm-mm.
whatever you get, it's probably going to change because once the government gets involved, they're going to have some kind of structure in place that makes
Absolutely.
it,
That's why it's so expensive in these
yeah,
states.
right.
It's
So
yeah.
well, let's see if we can find out who this is for right now. Like, what do you think the people like? I know you put it on your website. You sent an email out. Who are the low hanging fruit? Who are the people that are possibly reaching out, or who do you think this is really ideal for? At what stage are they in? Are they like have they had a psychedelic experience at a minimum? Obviously, you would have to have that.
Yeah.
Um, but who do you think is going to be the early adopters for this Mush Love Academy?
I think it's a lot of people that are now working in the wellness field. So,
Right.
you may be I don't know, sound bowl healing, somatic healing, massage, yoga. People that maybe do work in therapy are interested. That's been from the start. Therapists, especially, have reached out because it's a great transition when it does become legal. They can't do anything legally now
Right.
with the license, but get yourself prepared. So yeah, different people in those fields. It's surprising to me how many people with physician license have reached out.
Really?
hmm
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting because they want to again get a different side of this and an understanding. I mean, now if you're a physician and you're trying to enter this world, you do ketamine because that's legal. So, but again, the benefits from ketamine are very short lived. Everyone will admit to that. So this is sort of like their next stepping stone of going to that. So yeah, so I think anyone in the health and wellness, like we had talked about this before, the GLPs, every chiropractor, pain management doctor, plastic surgeon is now doing the
It's
GLPs
all over the
because
place.
it's like a business that benefits, it's what's
Yep.
changing. They're pivoting.
Yep.
So yeah, I see a lot of people just wanting to expand. And so many people that have been through it and have personally had healing. They want to share it like I did. So they want to share it. And we need a ton of me's. I can't,
Yes.
I can only do
There
so
may not be
many.
enough of you
I
eventually
love the
down the
idea
road.
of sharing and teaching and helping people and doing it. So again, it's you can do it. Like, we'll be doing it over 6 months via Zoom and a couple in person, but it'll be very manageable. If
Right.
you're a full-time job or family, whatever, it'll be manageable to get this in. So that you're ready for the
Have you
end.
designed the whole curriculum? Like you've done that yourself?
hmm
That's great. So you're very organized.
Oh yeah, super microdose, man. It's like my Adderall.
There, there you go. Yeah, because I would think you'd have to. And I know we always talk about this emphasis on preparation, emphasis on integration. And going through an experience myself, found that to be paramount.
Yeah,
There's no question about it. I mean,
yeah,
you have to have that. So, I guess a lot of the education that you're doing is, predominantly on that because the experience itself, it is what it is, but it's always the before and the after
yeah.
that are the most
Preparing.
important parts.
Yeah,
So,
getting people ready,
yeah,
making sure they're ready. I say no to people who don't like to hear
right,
that, but if I don't feel they're ready, I'm not gonna start them. It's just a waste of their time and can just be more frustrating,
right,
emotionally. So preparing and then of course the follow up is because some people have a difficult time. Things come up. Their minds got a lot of stuff going on. So
yeah,
sometimes you just need some hand holding basically and to get through the after part. So
yep,
yeah, so
oh yeah,
that's very, very big.
yeah. It is
Yeah.
interesting, and one of these days we'll talk about our personal
Yes.
experiences, and we'll kind of go down these rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Um, but that's great. So you have this advertised. You're taking in calls. Give us the spec of the education. Is it like you said? You could do it via Zoom. Is there any face-to-face education too? Are you conducting classes in a location? Are you looking to do classes here? I know I briefly mentioned something like that, which would be great. We just started a a painting school came in yesterday, and they shot some demos of them painting a model. So they're going to open up a
Oh,
painting
cool.
class
Oh, that's
in
really neat.
September.
Oh.
But so give me your thought processes behind the actual schooling, and I know sometimes people can call from mile like a few states away, and the fact that you're doing Zoom, which is great. But is there in-person training as well?
Yeah, and that's really gonna be more decided once I have the crew that's gonna be taking the first
Right.
cohort.
Yep.
So if everyone's really local, then yes, I'd like to do more in person. If even doing that with maybe somebody who is on a Zoom, then if somebody's farther, we can do it still hands on with that person
Right.
attached to via Zoom. So yeah, my goal is to do some Zoom and some in person, and here different places I have
Okay.
again just depending on where the people are at. Yeah, so there'll be different works to do, and different, like lecture kind of class, and then
Right.
kind of like a pod kind of class where people can get together and maybe small groups, they work together and, you know, again, answer some things and try to learn and grow.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's
That's
pretty set
cool.
up from very, very early on history and all that to very end running the business and
And maybe
everything in
eventually
between.
you'll build a school that's shaped like a mushroom.
That'd be pretty cool.
Beyond the science, like what personal qualities do you believe every psychedelic educator should possess? Like compassion, listening,
Integrity.
integrity, or even ethics. Like,
Ethics is
what is
huge.
the perfect model for someone to go into this space? Because, and then that's telling us a little bit about you too, because you certainly are someone that's been, doing this for some time. So there are certain qualities of you that kind of fall under those
Yeah.
categories.
You have to be very calm, like number
Yes,
one, because you have to be very quick.
I'm out.
Yeah, like you have to be very calm. You have to be very watching and understanding the situation. Now I can see someone and see if where this is going to go, if this is going to get rough or sort of be prepared.
Right,
So I would say calmness, patience. It could be a 6, 7 hour session. You
right.
have to be there for someone. So
Oh
you
yeah,
really need to have patience. And I'll tell you, before I worked myself with psychedelics, anyone who knew me would say I would never have had the patience for this.
yeah,
But integrity, ethics, kindness,
yep,
empathy, like everyone's situation is different. It doesn't make one better or worse than the other. So you just have to, hey, their situation is theirs, and just be very, you know, for some of the things that you look at, they're big and horrible, and some people have this little thing, and
right,
you could be thinking, well, that's really not that important, but it is. It's important to
right.
this person. It's
Yeah,
what's upsetting, and so you have to like really, in context, respect that. I
yep.
think,
That
yeah.
makes sense. So the class itself. Well, would you ever? Is there a like prerequisite? Is there something where um, someone applies and there's something that you're looking at, like an absolute no, like this person is just it's not gonna make it. Is there any red flags that you would see early on in some
Yeah, I mean,
application?
I do a Zoom for a good hour and talk with
Okay,
someone, or meet in person if someone's applying to go. And really, mental health, I'd have to say
right,
that this would be okay for someone who I felt maybe was struggling with certain things. Again, um, you know, some people need a little bit more protection in that area, and this may be too much. But I think most people, I mean, as long as you're committed, most people that would come into this would be more people that would want to do this kind
yeah,
of work. But I also think, part of me is like, I really want to show you what happens here, so you can make that decision, because maybe this is not something you want. I mean, how many kids go to college and get a degree and go, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I don't
right,
want to do this, mom.
right.
Like that. Like this could show you, like
Maybe they should
maybe,
get some hands-on like experience
yeah,
with you doing what you do.
yeah, you get to see it. Like during the cohort, also when I have sessions, I will bring people in, the
Right.
students in to sit for those. So they'll be throughout the whole thing. They'll be watching and seeing, and again. All the book work is great. Reading, getting newsletters, reading studies, listening to podcasts, it's all important. But being there hands on is really
It's
critical.
yeah.
Things can go wonky quick, and you
Yep.
have to be prepared. You have to know how many people you need
Right.
for, I go to some of these, I've been to some of these retreats, there's 30 people in a room and 3 people watching. Like,
That's not gonna work.
no, it doesn't work when things go bad. Like, it
Yeah.
just doesn't. But again, that's what I'm trying to teach,
Right.
what is not like the best way to do this.
This
Yeah.
is a whole new direction, when you really think about it, because it's not your typical training, even like medical training. It's pretty cut and dry. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to be a nurse. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. But now you're dealing with people's psyche, and it becomes very unpredictable.
Very
Yeah,
unpredictable.
so you really have to be a special person to want to go down this path.
Big time. Yeah.
But with that said, nothing in life is easy. So anything like this is going to require education, but really being very discriminate about, who gets educated and who actually goes into this role as someone who does integration. And you might find, I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, you might find people are going to the class and all of a sudden they're sitting in the session, they're watching someone experience, like, well, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Which is fine, because then maybe they just need to spend more time and do more training, and
right,
and do more learning until they do feel,
right.
calm and ready. Because it's scary the first time. I was scared the first time I administered 5-MeO on my
Yeah, I would
own.
imagine you would be.
Yeah, and I have a doctor that, kind of hangs out on staff a little. He was there. I take it seriously. I'm like, okay, here we go. And in my training, we had done, over 100 people. It's not like I hadn't, but when I was in charge, it's okay. I'm in
Now you're in
charge.
charge.
I'm in
Oh, so wait,
charge.
this is the school in Canada where you're doing this. So you got to sit in on all these sessions.
Yeah, a
So
lot.
you
Yeah.
saw everything from great to good to bad to scary. Um, so that really gave you a good idea of what you were in for.
Yeah,
You
and,
know,
and because all the other students were there too, and I saw their interactions, I saw a lot of things of what, no, don't do that. Like you could see their natural reaction was like, no, you need to step back and let them, and like, so
right?
there was a lot of things that you just physically and mentally, when you're actually in the position. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Like thinking about it, that would be interesting for me to see that, just to watch the
Yeah.
experience. And I wonder if they have videos of this. I mean, do they have videos of this online where
They do, and I always tell people, like, especially before
are they
5
bullshit or
MEO,
are they
Bufo. I don't know. Like, again, when you're going on YouTube, people are looking for drama. They're looking
right?
for
Yeah, of
theatrics.
course.
So, I always say, don't, especially the 5 MEO. Don't look at that before you do your own session. Don't have that in your head, because some of it's really crazy and screaming and graphic, and like that's a very small percentage of
Right.
people that
Yeah,
actually do that. So
exactly.
it's like, you want, it's like before you have a surgery, do you want to watch a hip replacement surgery? Like
No.
I do not.
Right.
I do not want to see surgery before that'll be in my head.
Right.
Like, so I
Yes.
like afterwards, it's all good. Let's move on. Like, if we're
Yeah,
not good.
I want to see, when the guy goes under and then when he comes out of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
it. Yeah. So
Especially if I'm going to be doing it.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, as more people become curious about this, what mistakes do you think? I mean, I think we're already answering these questions, but do you hope education can help people avoid? Um, because we all make mistakes and we'll continue to make mistakes, and that's how we learn. But what are some of the common mistakes that you don't want to, that maybe you point out to your students right out of the box and
Yeah.
say, these are the mistakes you cannot do.
Right.
Maybe we answered some of them already, but if we haven't,
Yeah, I
just
think it's like preparation, like really spending time
yeah,
beforehand, talking with someone, making sure they're ready for this, and making sure they're calm and making sure they're prepared. Um, Obviously, safety and harm reduction, being trained and all that is
right,
important. I always ask people, "Are you CPR trained?" That's very simple, but who
right,
knows? You don't know. I
yep.
mean, you don't know underlying health conditions. You do the best you can with like your medical, interviews
Yeah,
and
and some people
stuff.
can lie about that stuff. It's
People
hard to check.
can all the
Right,
time. Yeah. So it's just, you just never know. So just preparedness, and then the follow-up is really key. And the other thing is, and this one's really hard, is really giving people the correct expectations. And I think that's important in life.
yes,
Like giving them the expectations of, this isn't a magic bullet.
right,
This is work in addition to, is it very fast and productive compared to maybe just standard therapy? Absolutely. But it's still, you have to participate in
yep,
it. And I think that's the biggest one, because, again, somebody does a podcast, some rock star did it, or some football player, and everything's fabulous. And that's unfortunately not the way it is. I
right,
think really having people understand, like, this is a partnership. You got to put into it what you're going to, I have people that just want to do the medicine. They don't want to do the follow-up. And it's like, we can't just keep doing this. You have
right,
to, you're
yeah,
going back to the same life. We're not changing those grooves in your neurons if we're doing the exact same thing when we go home.
right.
Like, so yeah.
Yeah, you have to, and that's important. But it's natural for human beings to go through the process or to do the session and then all of a sudden not do the work afterwards. Just okay, now it's time for the next patient.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that could be a not such a good thing. Because my question to you is like, what responsibilities do these people have now in their communities? Because now you're training them, you're teaching them. Now they're going out on their own, and you would love for them to be successful, obviously.
Absolutely.
So there's those expectations, like, okay, you're now in your community, you're doing these things. It's so very important to do the follow up and the integration. Um, so you have to have expectations for that, and and I know what your expectations are, but are they realistic? That's the whole thing.
Right.
How much can you control after the fact?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. You don't know.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say I can guess what people will be like after a session just from having spent time with them. But sometimes it's quite opposite.
Right.
So I don't know what's in there, what's coming out,
Yeah.
And then some people who I just would think would be a struggle are like just get so much and they're so at peace. So it's just always different. It's just
It's always very
very
different. Yep.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those educators are going to have to understand that, and you know, it's cutting edge. Really is. And I don't know what the government, like, where's the government come in on all this? Like, even their training. I don't know. I'm not familiar with what the state of Colorado and Oregon are doing from a training standpoint. And maybe they're just doing mushrooms or psilocybin and not going down the DMT thing. But it's interesting to understand, what the state or what the government would think is right, because they don't seem to get anything right.
Yeah, it's a shame because I just read this morning Oregon, which I think the number is 75% of their service centers. That's what it's called, where you can go do the mushroom. It's just psilocybin there, have shut down
75% of them.
75% because people thought wham bam, but the problem is they're charging my sessions are 750. They're charging $3,500,
Oh, geez.
and it's in Oregon. You have to get there and stay, and that becomes a cost thing.
It's
And
almost
when
like a $6,000-7,000.
and then when it's just not really a one session thing. Usually a couple months later, a lot of people are like, I'm ready to do that next level of let's
Right.
remove some more layers. So it just becomes really not cost but effective for most people.
Right.
And that's I guess because there's all these agencies now that are involved that have to be paid. I'm not saying it's money thrown
Right.
away. This morning I read that no one's making money, so now they're upping the prices. I'm like, your prices are already too high, like by like
Oh,
30,
boy.
40%. I know. I was like, yeah. So
Well,
again, they're working through it. Colorado,
the market will find a price that works, and then
yeah,
they might have to, I don't know, scale down what the whole process is in order to find that number.
yeah.
But that's why I think it's very cutting edge. This is ground floor, and my question, looking ahead 5 years, what impact do you think, you know, Mush Love Academy is going to have on really the industry and where the industry goes? Because you are a pioneer. It's not like I see emails all the time. Oh, I'm doing a
Right,
a
right,
psychedelic academy.
right, right. You don't get those
I
every
only get
day.
one, and it's from you.
Well, I hope I hope to just train people to be out there to do this well and to do it correctly, to do it ethically, to
Yeah.
really care about people's outcome. I mean, this is like a very big thing for a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm hoping to build that in community where you feel comfortable.
Yep.
Again, the stigma, a lot of people feel uncomfortable. So, yeah, I'm just hoping to get people out there qualified and just start to learn. And again, always learning. I'm always reading. I'm always taking new
Yeah.
courses. I'm always getting to the next level of something. It's important to keep your mind active and just keep going.
Right.
And this will be nice because it'll be a community where I've done this, I've done the legwork, I know all the good newsletters, I know all the additional trainings they can do at Berkeley or Imperial College. I can keep guiding people to continue
Right.
their education and continue, and that's really the basis of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to kind of, we can end on that note, because we're not telling people, hey, this is something that you kind of want to rush down and, oh, you want to have this experience because it's great. There's a lot of things you have to do. You have to find the right person to do it with. And that right person is someone who was educated by the right person.
Yes.
So there's all these even layers on the education side. Do your homework, do your research,
Yeah.
and do as much as you can, so that way you're informed. And that's what Much Love Academy is all about. You're looking to educate people, but you're going to do it the right way.
Yes.
It's no fly-by-night class. You want to do it the right way, because you've had a lot of experience in this, and I think that's key. So, we definitely want to keep the education going. We want to keep these things going. You
Yeah.
know, we're doing these like almost on a quarterly basis, which I think is probably pretty good because
Yeah.
as things change, if things change quickly, we'll always have another broadcast
Yep.
down the road, and certainly we'll have another psychedelic parlor here so we can educate people on even Mush Love Academy, which will be interesting. So,
Yeah.
is there anything last words you want to add today?
Call me.
Yes.
Let's see if you're a viable
Yeah, there you go.
candidate.
That's a great first step because when you talk to Denise, she's very transparent. So it's a great phone call. She doesn't beat around the bush. She tells it like it is,
Yeah.
and you're going to get her honest opinion on where you would stand in this this process. So I welcome you to give her a buzz. We'll share her information at the back end of this podcast, and you can reach out to her. But also follow Soundplex Studios. We'll probably have a psychedelic parlor once. We might have one in the summer sometime, but a must probably going to be sometime in September because I'm going to take some time off in August.
Yeah.
But
September.
Denise, I want to thank you for coming again
Thank you
today.
for having
I
me.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Very
this is great.
informative, and I look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Everybody.
Bye.